In today's society, parents expect schools to perform miracles. Schools expect parents to do their part. Teachers feel overworked and underappreciated. Bas, bos, bas. Bas, 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 bas. So, who is actually raising our children? You're welcome to the EVUN show, a talk show for women and the men who love them. On this episode, we're going to be stepping into one of the most sensitive and least understood areas of the society, the relationship between parents, teachers, and schools. In many homes, expectations have shifted. Some parents believe that schools should be responsible for teaching discipline, values, emotional intelligence, academics, etiquette, and even character. Schools argue that most parents do not reinforce anything at home, and teachers, on the other hand, some passionate, some burnt out, while some simply found themselves in the classroom because that's the only job opportunity they have. And who is in the middle of all this? Our children. There are also debates around parents blaming schools for behavioral and academic struggles of children, parents rejecting exam results and grading systems, award ceremonies turning into battles, a lot of it. Today is not about pushing blames or picking who is right or wrong. It is about understanding the responsibility, the pressure, and the realities. And on the show today, we have the founding director of Orange Schools. She's a serial entrepreneur. We have Mrs. Olayemi Tola Omotayo on the show. You are welcome. You're welcome on the EVUN show, Mrs. Olayemi.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
It is our pleasure to have you. So, as a school director, what responsibilities do you feel parents push to schools entirely and is not supposed to be?
Okay, so the first responsibility parents push to school is the responsibility of raising their children. When I talk about raising, I mean teaching values, teaching ways to relate with people, and everything that you can imagine that value represents. So a parent sends a child to school and you have not taught your child to say no to a bad behavior. And then you are complaining to the school that your child is being influenced negatively. What happens to the place of your child knowing that these are habits or things I am not expected to do under any circumstance? We know they are children. Sometimes they can get influenced by their peers and all that. But I feel that there are some basic values every family should have instilled in their children before sending them to school. So when you send your child to a school and the child is having issues, you should know, or the child should know at some point that regardless of what happens, this is a no-no in my family. So that brings me to what I have been preaching lately about family values. Values generally. It's sad that we're in a generation where people have lost their values. So I'm asking myself, if I was a younger parent, are there some schools I'll send my children to? Definitely no, even if I have the funds, because my family we have some set values that we expect everybody to operate by. And so if I am walking into a school and I want to enroll my child there, I expect that any prospective parent, one of the first things you should ask anybody attending to you is that, what are the values of the school? So if your value does not align with what I've been instilling in my child, then there's no business. I don't have any business being in that school. Because don't forget that family is the first and foremost school for any child, regardless of what you want to say. But unfortunately, we have thrown that responsibility to school.
Because you know, some parents will argue that children spend more time in school. They wake up, especially here in Lagos, where children wake up as early as 6:30. They've left the house. They close by 2. Some have extracurricular activities, and then some have tutorials. And some children return home around 4. They do not meet their parents. You know, I've heard that often. How do you react to that?
Okay, so true, children tend to spend more time, especially in a city like Lagos, in school more than they do at home. But like I had said earlier, for an average parent that raised a child in a loving and assuring environment, I don't think that time of not seeing your mother should influence what your child will do. Because most times parents forget the fact that their children don't do what they tell them to do. They do what they see them doing. So if as a parent, you have to send your child out of the home early and the child returns late at night, there are still some things that, like I said, you have instilled. I don't know how to explain this to you, but I'm looking for a very, you know, how to get the point across. The point is still that do a good job at home. So
because
I'm going to
first
use
off, you own the child.
Exactly. So I'm going to use the analogy of a building. When you want to build a house, if your foundation is not rock solid, there's some things you can't put on that foundation. So that child was given to you as a plain slate. Right from birth, there are some things you instill in a child that is not because the child cannot talk. So let me give you an example. I remember that years ago, when the school started out, we had, of course, we still run a crèche because the babies are really my passion. And I had a parent then who has now become a friend. She brought her daughter, and it was interesting for me to realize that when the child is with us in school, there's no way you put the child, she won't stay. Put her on a bouncer, put her on a walker. And then she comes back to tell me that one of the reasons she picks the child late, like 6:37 in the evening, is because once she gets home, the child does not allow her to put her down anymore. She has to stand until the child sleeps. And I'm asking myself, so what's the difference? So even from a baby, there are some values you communicate to your child. It's not by talking, because a lot of parents will say, they are babies, they don't understand. I beg to differ. They understand more than you think they understand. So when you imbibe some values in your children, values like you greet when you see people, values that regardless of what anybody gives you, if I did not give you, you're not permitted to eat it before I sit. Those are values. Values like when your friend tells you we should do something that is going to harm another person, we can't do that because it's not a nice thing, and we are nice people. So those are some of the values that, and you know, I've said that to a couple of parents. When your child does not have the right values, it's difficult for them to learn. Because a child that is not disciplined will not be disciplined enough to learn. And so they begin to see the school or the teacher or whoever is attending to them as the enemy, because they're coming from a home where everything goes. You want biscuits, take. I want to use my tap, take. Go and drink water, mommy. I don't want water, it's dry. I want. Just go and take.
Don't disturb me, just go.
Just go.
Or no deadline for sleep, no sleep time, and
no routine.
No routine.
No routine. So I still stand on the point of view that when you do a good job at home, you might see some traces of influence. But like I said, if you have imbibed the right culture, your child will be quick to tell you, oh, mommy, Tony told me today that I should take Tishe sweet. And you are saying that, and I said no. And you, in fact, you ask, so what did you say? And the child, in some cases, the very confident one, said, what do you think I said, mommy? And he said, what did you say? Of course, I said no. It's values.
So you mentioned something about, of course, I agree about building your family values, but you know that some of these children have dual personalities. There's this regard they have for their teachers. When they get home, if it's assignments, no, my teacher said this is the way it should be. I've experienced that on so many levels. Sometimes my child is outspoken at home and they get out and they do not talk any longer. You know, parents have had to deal with that. And that brings me to the issues of teacher, because it's not just the school. There's a perception they have about their teachers. So it goes a long way who the teacher is. And there's already a growing concern of teachers not being passionate about the job. That a lot are just there because that's the available job. What do you have to say to this? First, is this true rather?
Okay, so the first answer I'm going to give to that question is that you are very correct. We have a lot of teachers now who are not passionate. Not everyone has the privilege to do what they really love to do. So like you said, they just take on the available thing, just put food on their table. That is very correct. But like I said, I'm sure that anybody listening to this after us will seem like, oh, she just came on to defend the school. No. But the truth about it is that I still go back to the family. And I'm going to be using another example. I once had a couple that walked into the school a couple of years back. They have also jackpot now, and they were of the other religion. And there was nothing you told those boys. They will answer you confidently, I'll ask my mom. It still goes back to the relationship back at home. So before your child will come home and tell you, this is what my teacher said, especially when it comes to given task, it might be that they have tried mommy or daddy once or twice and you have failed them. But in a situation where they know that even when daddy does not know or mommy does not know, they are quick to own up to say, you know what, on this, I'm not sure I'm right, but let's do it this way. And if your teacher says that we're wrong, then we'll go your teacher's way. You have built a relationship. You have built a trust, which most people, and you know, it amazes me. I am a believer, I'm a Christian, but it amazes me that when it comes to teaching values and our children having confidence in us, a lot of believers have not done well with that. This family I'm talking about are of the other faith. And until they left, that was how it was. In fact, I remember that while the older one went to write a test for a college, a known college in Lagos in this access, the child got home and told the mom, when they sent the result, this can't be my result. And when they went back to check, they were very correct. They had to apologize. In fact, the school said they were going to give the boy scholarship. Unfortunately, they were about leaving. So I'm still going back to when you build a relationship of trust with your child. So we have grown up, our parents making us feel, oh, when I was in school, I was always first. Be open to them. Be vulnerable. Let them know that, oh,
you mommy also had struggles.
Mommy is human, daddy is human. The only difference right now is that, you know what? I'm older than you are. And one day you'll be as old as I am. So this part you're towing, I have done this before. So I'm still going back to the home. We as teachers and educators, we are expected to collaborate with you to build on what you have built at home. Not for us to start doing the work. And so I understand the fact, like you said, it still goes back to values. How many of these teachers that we employ actually have values themselves? Most of them, we employ them on the basis of expertise. The expertise that is even now questionable. Because when you see some very well-doctored CV, you're expecting them to wow you. And then they get to class, you're wondering, what's the difference between this person and the CV I saw? But on that note, when you have a teacher like that, and you have a present and evolving parent, you are quick to detect that that teacher is not towing the line you want your child to, and you are quick to raise an alarm.
Yeah.
Did I answer your question?
You did. But as a school director, how do you deal with such a teacher, especially when you have recurrence of such, you know, people who speak negatively, who stylishly bully the children, and you have constant complaints of, how do you deal with that?
Okay, so because we are, like I said, we are all work in progress. That's number one. Number two, you know, I mentioned something about values. And I'm going to give you another, in fact, 2 scenarios. So last session, we had a class that the teacher went on maternity leave, and we had to pull a teacher from another class into that class. And in less than 2 weeks, I had like 3 or 4 complaints, text messages, WhatsApp calls. And when we did our own background check, we realized that that teacher, had a traumatic upbringing. So he didn't see any big deal in telling a child that, is this all you can do? He didn't see any big deal in telling the classmates that you actually you think this, because they also have an unfinished business with their background. Their past or how they grew up is affecting the way they live. So the school used to be like a small family where I was into everybody's business. What's happening to you? Are you fine? How is your mom? But human beings will always be human beings. So at this point, I have drawn the line. So, and that is why as a school or any business at all, when you have your systems, you have your structures, you have your policies, everybody knows what is acceptable. So if you misbehave, you do what is not expected of you professionally, well, we can say first time offender, maybe was not in a good, or she was not in a good mood, let's correct. By the time I'm correcting the second time, I am one leader that is not afraid to fire. Basically because, like I tell my people, there's hardly anything anyone has done from creche to the college that I have not done before. So even if we don't find the right fit immediately, I will step in. I might struggle a little, but I'll be fine. And then we get another fit. So when you have staff who do not do what is expected of them, because like you said, a lot of people are just looking for ways to put food on their table, not that they are passionate about and then they come in with a kind of warped mentality about what teaching is about. Is it not to teach children? A lot of them are forgetting that these children are also little humans that have emotions. They are coming from a home. You don't know what is happening to them. You don't know where they are coming from. So that's basically it. And that's why it looks like for almost every business now, you keep firing, you keep hiring, because a lot of people are worn out emotionally. They are not where they should be to deal with these children.
So let's come to the issue, because you see online, I'm sure you see on social media, oh, it is, we pay schools, we pay school fees, but we are the ones doing the work. Why should my child come on with like 5 assignments? Because, I come back from work and then I'm dealing with assignments. What's the issue? What is it with all these assignments? I'm sure you would have even had personal reactions like that.
Okay, so for assignments are actually supposed to be like a reinforcement of what was taught in school. And because of what you had said earlier about parents most times not being available, and then because the children have loads of things that distracts them now, unlike when we were growing up, NTA does not come up until 4 p.m.
Yes.
And then once we finish hearing the network news by 10, they shut down. Now you have 24 hours TV stations, radio stations, there are games online, technology has gone haywire, the world has become a global village. So you need to reinforce what you taught in school as a teacher, because you'll be shocked that when you teach something, in fact, these days, some of those things that were not common while we were growing up, or maybe our parents were not knowledgeable enough to identify them, are the learning disabilities. So you find out that these days you teach a child something today. By next morning you are asking, and they are like, what are you talking about? Was I in that class? So that's the reason why assignments have to be given. And like you said, I've had cases where parents say, oh, the assignments are too many. And interestingly, now that you're saying it, I'm remembering that I had a grandma who was taking care of her grandson and withdrew the child from school because she said the assignments were not enough to engage him. That she feels that we are not doing enough. I said, grandma. What do you expect? He's just getting into this environment. He needs to settle in. He's coming from. So she took the boy. So the assignment thing, and for me, my own personal belief on this assignment thing, especially when it comes to children, is like I said before, we're giving children with plain minds. The psychologist said a tabula rasa. So the human mind has immense capacity. Why not stretch that capacity as children? And then as they grow, whatever capacity they need to fit in other places they go, they will adjust to it. Rather than not stretch the capacity. And then when they need to stretch the capacity, it's like, excuse me, what's happening here? So I am of the opinion that it's better you stretch, and this has worked for us because there's hardly any child who leaves from our school to secondary school. When they come, they are not telling me they are overwhelmed. They are saying, it's like what we used to do here in Orange. It's like, you know. So I think that assignments are good, and I think that we should stretch them. It's better you stretch, you write everything you want to write, and as they grow, what they don't need, they throw out.
What happens when a child struggles academically? A child begins to notice that they are not at par with their other classmates and all of that, and parents come to school. Sometimes the parents come to school because they don't know how to deal with it. They are not well trained in that line, and they believe, oh, teachers are trained, school owners are trained, so they should so speak to this.
So when a child is struggling academically is majorly one thing. That child does not have the mental capacity to do what that child is expected to do. And, you know, children differ, human beings differ. You have some who pick up first, you have some who pick up at their own pace. And, you know, when we were growing up, I don't think schools used to do it, but most schools now,
we used to repeat classes. But would a parent allow their child repeat?
Like you said, parents are reluctant to pay fees twice. So years ago, we used to do that until the parent stood up at the meeting and said, it doesn't think it's fair. And once we ask a child to repeat and we check our back end, when I mean back end, I mean when the child was not meeting up, when assignments were not done, when mails were sent, and the teacher had done everything that should be done, suggested classes, extra classes to assist the child, and the parent was not forthcoming, you are going to repeat. But if we check our back end and we realize that we didn't do some things that were supposed to be done, even if we did them, but there were no evidences of documentation that we did what should be done, of course, we will give a discount on tuition for the class. So when a child is struggling, most times it's as a result of the fact that they are not mentally prepared for what you are asking them to do. And, you know, I jokingly say to parents, especially first-time parents who are always very eager, my child is not writing. We went to a party. My child's friend was talking, I ask them, at your age, is anybody asking you now when you started writing or when you started reading? Years to come, they will not really matter. But as long as the foundation, the right foundation is laid, the child will catch up when they are mentally ready. And that's why you see that some children, you'll see that in class they don't talk. They don't say anything. You are bothered. You are asking yourself, are you doing the right thing? What's happening here? And they are just not ready. And when they are ready, it's like somebody unleashed something inside of them. Everything they had learned previously, they start telling you. They start exhibiting it, and you're like, oh, really? So learning had...
Where had this been all the while?
So learning had actually taken place.
So let's get to the grading system. First, second, third, and the awards. This cause issues with parents. You have parents fighting, oh, how come my child has never done this? I, for one, actually withdrew my children from a school because everybody in class was best in reading. And I'm like, how? I'll be comfortable with the fact that my child doesn't have an award. It just tells my child, be better at it.
True.
However, how do you deal with that? I also understand that children begin to feel bad. Oh, this time I didn't get this. This time I didn't. So where do we draw the balance, and how do you deal with parents?
Okay, so for the grading system, you know, I was saying something earlier. In most schools now, schools, when I mean schools, you know, we have a lot of private schools and there are gradings for those private schools. Most schools now, they might not tell you if you don't ask, but in almost every class, you have 3 categories of children. For us, we call it the able children. We call it the more able children, the able children, and the less able children. So in teaching, the teacher has to adopt what we call the differentiation method. So if a child gets into your class being a less able child, we expect that at the end of the session, minimal, the child should become able. So because of the positioning, like you said, because I remember that growing up, school, in fact, every subject will have position. And parents, of course, are not happy about it. I don't know where we have just become very, very self-absorbed in our, you know, parents, it's not nice. It makes my child feel somehow. So that's why we don't use this positioning system. We use the CGPA system. And so you have a platform that from the beginning of the session to the end of the session, you can see the CGPA of your child. You can see the class average. And I, for one, I am not, if I remember that one parent jokingly told me that I don't understand the kind of school you run. Other schools that I know, they massage the ego of the parents. They make us feel important. You are concerned about your children. I call black, black. I call white, white. If your child failed, I will put it there. If I was still telling my teachers last week, you're writing exam now, we do not call any child to the teacher's table after exam to come and fill some questions they didn't fill. Once it's not done and submission is done. So I think for that, you need to know what you stand for and what you believe. I'm not afraid to tell you this is how your child performed. Like I said, as long as I know all that needs to be done from my hand was done. If your child, of course, will not put 0 and draw here like they used to do. But if your child is not doing well, I will tell you your child is not. Although as we have grown over the years, we have realized that in as much as passion brought me to the business, you have to also have to consider the fact that it's still a business. So there's what I call, like you were saying, something about emotional intelligence. I will assess. You know, Yorubas, you say that when you come and quote Toro. So when I notice that you're a parent, that you don't like to be told the truth, we'll keep massaging your ego and greasing it for you. But the ones who want to be told the truth, will bear it open. This is where your child is. This can be done. This can be done. Are you willing to go the extra mile? But the ones who just keep but if you are very vigilant, you will see the results in your child's results when you bring it home that this child is not doing well. And you know, because like I said, you have to be very emotional, and so there are comments that you make that if you are not a very observant person, you just flip over like your child is learning at his own pace. It's saying something. But we won't say more than that. Oh, your child loves to play a lot. You know, when I tell you your child's attention span is very short, I'm saying something. But if you don't ask further, we'll leave it at that.
All right. So parents, which do you want? To just pamper your children through school, or to consolidate the learning and listen to the school and teachers? And finally, before I let you go, Mr. Layemi, corporal punishments. We grew up, teachers can beat us. Even neighbor, you do anyhow, neighbor will beat you and tell your parents, and it was okay. But now we have gentle parenting, right? Our parents even had scriptures for it. I don't know it's in English. Ayomode ni weredisi.
Yeah.
You know, and then it encourages you to actually use the whip on the child. How has that changed now? And how should parents deal with a teacher who has beaten their child?
Like you said, when we were growing up, it was your parents gave birth to you, the whole community, the village raised you. But right now, like I said, we have become very sensitive, and a lot of parents don't even want their children to be corrected. Not even corporal, not even spanking now. They don't even want the children to be corrected. So, for us as a school, we still do corporal punishment. I hope I will not be arrested for this. Anyway, I'm in Ogun State. I'm not in Lagos State. I'm licensed under Ogun State. We do. But the reason why we do not encourage it for all the teachers, I am the only one who does that. I'm the only one that will do that. And when I do, before your child gets home, I place a call to you to tell you this is what happened. And then it's followed up by a report telling you what happened in school today. Because in cases where you have to give some strokes of cane to the child, most times, because they know the gravity of what they've done, they will not go back home to tell their parents.
Yes.
But if they feel they were unfairly treated, they are quick to tell their parents. So because of the way our minds are working now, and like I said, a lot of people have issues, unresolved issues from their background, from their childhood, trauma and all that, it is also advisable not to ask teachers to spank, because it's not everybody that knows where to draw the line. And then sometimes these children can be very, very pushy and, push you to the edge. So the teacher gets to respond, and then you don't know when you are now responding out of anger rather than correct. So if I'm correcting, I'm asking you, do you know what you have done? What do you think should be done to you? In fact, now I don't get to do that a lot, because my name is now synonymous to spanking. So once you tell a child in class, Mr. Olayemi is around, or please, let's go, and from the class they are telling you, I'm sorry, I'm going to do what you asked me. Don't take me to Mr. Even at home, parents call me and I'm hearing from the background, I'm calling Mr. Olayemi now. If you like, don't do that assignment. And you say, are you joking, mommy? Don't call her now. I said I would do. So I think that we have to be able to strike the balance. It's not everything you should spank a child for.
Really, that goes back to instilling
discipline.
Because why should a parent be calling Mr. Olayemi?
That's what I was saying.
You cannot deal with your own child.
I get that
in
often.
the house.
I get that often. So it still boils down to discipline, like you said. And then it's not everything you spank a child for. We're once children. That's one of the things that made childhood fun. Like you said, I remember I had a neighbor that when we're doing a family devotion as a family, and you hear the knock of Mrs. Ojo, God bless her soul. Myself and my siblings are asking ourselves, did anybody do anything yesterday? Did Mrs. Ojo correct you yesterday? Because she is sure. And she doesn't come late at night. She'll come early in the morning while the family devotion is going on. And she was, I saw so-and-so yesterday. This is where I saw them. I corrected them, but I think you should hear about it.
Oh, wow.
But these days, even in church, junior church teachers complain. Because some parents, the look on their face when you tell them, this child did this, and I don't think so. Exactly. So when like I said earlier, when you notice that a parent doesn't like their child to be corrected, they don't like, you just stand aside. So
thank you so much for giving us your honest review of the Nigerian schooling system and parental discipline. But very briefly, what is that one thing that every parent needs to hear?
That's one thing every parent needs to hear, is the fact that raising children is not a walk in the park. If we're in a more structured environment, I think that for every newly married couple, before they start getting to do and thinking of raising children, I think that they should all be made to school and get a certificate, at least minimally, on parenting. Because a lot of parents these days behave as if parenting just fell on their laps. Most parents are not prepared, and that's why we have so many damaged children, damaged adults, because it's like we don't know what to do, and we are not even willing to ask questions because you just want to put up the front.
I know what I'm doing.
I'm not even when parenting.
Even when you don't.
Parenting is not a walk in the park. It's a serious work, and for me, it's even more scary because from the Christian angle, I am conscious of the fact that God will ask me. It's a task. I'm like a guardian. God is going to ask me, what have I done with that child? What have I imputed into that child's life? And that's why we have so many anyhowness. It starts from the home. Anyhow, just do things anyhow. No structure, no system, anything goes. So one thing every parent needs to hear is that parenting is not a walk in the park. You can't do it alone. You need the support of the community. You need the support, majorly the support of God, to raise good children, because no parent is perfect. No system is perfect. God is the only perfect system. So
thank you so much. I'll take it from there. So, like you heard the conversation, it is not about blame. It is about awareness. And education works best when each party partners wisely. The parent partners with the school partners well with the teachers, and then we'll have a better society. Thank you for being part of the show today. I want your comments in the comment section. What has been the greatest challenge of your child or you as a parent taking your children to school? We'll meet again on the next episode. We want to appreciate you for coming on the EVUN show. We have this pretty little gift, a flower vase from Mary Alma.
thank you so much.
I'll tell you a little story. So Mary Alma is from Shemilori and Momori.
Oh.
Yes, their names, Mary Alma, because they really have been asking how to double their money.
Really?
Yeah, so their savings have gone into this,
This
house
is so
decors
thoughtful.
and saints, and we have this verse from Mary Alma.
Thank you so much. I'm really, really grateful. It's a privilege to be here. Thank you.